Yesterday we talked about merch prices for tour and got our merch company saying we're too cheap with what we're charging for it, but we're also of the mind of sure if it's more fan friendly, you're going to sell more anyway, and the fans are going to go away not feeling like they've been ripped off. They're more likely to come back again. They're more likely to buy something else in the future as well and stuff. So
Hi, I'm Ben Patashnik and I'm FUGA's Senior Strategy Manager for Rock.
hi, I'm Mark Walker. I'm the managing director of talent agency Free Focus, and we represent a number of influencers and musicians, including Rory.
So yeah, how's the response been within the RØRY camp to the recent track?
It's been great actually. We were a little bit kind of moving into a more metal sound. We wondered whether that would resonate, but it seems to do. I think she's obviously got like that, well, as you've seen as we've worked together on the project for a couple of years now. She's got that loyal fan base that they're there as much for the music as they are for that sense of community around what she's doing and everything. So, I mean, how have you felt it's resonated from your side and the kind of trickling down effect to sit kind of from a distribution point of view?
I mean, I think it's been a really great demonstration of her fan base and her community and showing that they are invested in her and what she's doing, and the message that she is putting out feels very authentic. Like
Hmm.
it's like the fans are realizing that even though it's something different musically, it's something that is still very recognizably Rory.
Yeah, and the
So
lyrics are still very much in that ballpark of the kind of main reason that a lot of the fans kind of resonated with her in the first place. So that they may have been through the same kind of things as her. So they may have had kind of family trauma. They may have had drug and alcohol addiction problems and been recovery from that. Is I mean that a lot of the time feels to me like that's why that community is kind of coming together so tightly, is because they're all kind of in it together. And with Rock, she's obviously created the 37 Club, um, for them to come together in these different platforms, whether they're on the Facebook group or whether they're on the Instagram broadcast or whatever. But we saw like over the summer, even though she wasn't playing download this year, there was still like 37 club flags in the campsites at download, and they're all kind of coming together in that community and that fandom vibe. So um, yeah, I think that lyrical content and the fact it's still rock. Like she was doing pop punk, emo kind of leading stuff before. Now it's gone heavier, but it's still rock at the end of the day. And the rock fans definitely have that community vibe compared to some other genres, I feel. So.
what's the kind of process like internally for you guys of kind of observing, finding, and I guess understanding who your community is, who this kind of fan base is?
I mean, it's all driven by Rox herself, Rory herself, and a lot of it's driven as well by ADHD Love, the social media channels that her and Rich do together that we're also management of. Um, it kind of naturally happens in that way, and it's very Rox driven. Like she's there, she knows what she knows what the fans are there for. She knows why they're resonating with her, and she's giving them that home, that platform, that place for them to come together. So it's it's less me as a manager, or I guess you guys as distributors, or Dexter as our label manager, kind of forcing anything or saying, "Have you thought about this?" And a lot of artists talk online and quite vocally about labels and managers pushing them to do TikTok and how cringy they find it and stuff. But with Rocks, it's all organic. Like a lot of it was there before we even got involved, and it was what attracted us to the project. I mean, because Free Focus, we manage influencers as well as musicians or content creators. I prefer to hate the word influencer, but um, the community side of it and the fandom side of it was in a large part, in addition to music being the kind of stuff I was listening to myself. That's what drew me to it in the first place, and we've seen it with other artists that we work with, like Noah Fintz, as he's got a big LGBT trans community around him, and that when you've got that community, you've got those hardcore fans that stick with you and want to be there to support you.
I feel like with the community and with the kind of you mentioned the ADHD love, obviously, and the content you've been putting out and the content that all of your clients put out, like it almost feels like there's a through line between what the artist is saying and everything that is kind of publicly put out. So the way of making sure that what you're putting out is honest and authentic is entirely from the artist, and that is what is informing your kind of strategy, quote unquote.
Yeah, like Rory's got a genuine story of having tried and in her words, tried and failed to be a musician throughout her 20s. She was doing more kind of folk acousticy music then. She then ran into troubles, having like lost her mum and dealing with that, and that led to drug and alcohol issues and things. So she's worked through that. She's then found love in later life with meeting Rich and starting ADHD Love, which just again kind of happened by accident. They posted a video on TikTok that just happened to blow up. Um, but she also, um, yeah, she's got this amazing story as like hitting her 40s, releasing her debut album, as a fully self-funded artist off the success of turning her life around and writing some big dance songs for other people, and then being able to come full circle back to the rock music that she grew up listening to and loves and wants to be writing and wants to be performing. And I think just because it is such a natural and organic and true story, people really kind of are drawn to that, and it's a feel good story as well. Like having a top 10 album with your debut album at the age of 40 is like not many artists can say that, especially in an industry where age is often a stigma or has been in the past and stuff.
Mm. Do you think there's something in like the way that uh, you guys seem to be doing slightly similar things that a lot of people doing, i.e., you work on social media, you work on UGC channels, you put out music videos, but they also do stuff that other, I think, teams don't do in the way that you're building and managing communities across channels that aren't quite as front facing, like you leverage your email list, for example, and the way that
Yeah,
is something that is a really powerful weapon in the story so far.
yeah, I guess we mix it up, don't we? We make sure we're doing all the traditional things right, like the way things have always been done. So we're servicing the songs how we need to with the PRs and the radio and the plug-in and the pushing for DSPs and all the rest of it. But then alongside that, we're using Rox's knowledge and our knowledge from the digital space and what works there to really build on that side of it. And yeah, as you say, like the mailing list is a big win for us. I think we're up to like 35,000 signups on that now. 5,000 of those came around the degradation release through Rock's coming up with these great like Easter egging ideas and microsites and we brought in a chap called Paul Dando to help us kind of look at how we manage that data and how we use it. And also like it's one thing to get the emails signed up, but how do you get people, especially today when more people are on WhatsApp or Instagram than necessarily looking at every junk email they get through or sign up to email they get through. So it's how do you engage them? So we're doing things now like for the next single, which is going to debut on the tour that's coming up. We've got a microsite that fans will be able to either scan a QR code or go to a website that Rox is going to shout out on stage to sign up for the mailing list. And by doing so at the show, signing up, you again get entered into a draw, effectively a live draw, where she's then going to pick one person who's going to go and get a free merch bundle from the merch stand at the end of the night. And then those guys will then be followed up with the pre-save email for the next single. It's just that kind of engagement of it and that gamifying it a little bit more and just giving people a reason. And then we'll also look at doing incentives like, I mean, we've been discussing stuff with you guys about do we give them the music video unlisted link 48 hours before the song officially comes out because they're on the mailing list. So there is a reason to be opening the emails and checking them. It's not just every time they get an email, it's a buy a ticket for a tour or pre-order an album. There's actual kind of fun stuff in there and reason for them to engage in it. And the same happens with our like Facebook group as well, the 37 Club. There's always little nuggets that Rox herself's posting in there of like Easter eggs or little teasers or incentives or things. And I mean that stretches to, I mean you've discussed it before, the stuff we do around kind of just making the fans feel looked after because it's a genuine thing that Rox wants to look after those fans that are giving her the opportunity to do what she's doing now. So um, one big thing for us around the touring side has been around we know we've got a lot of access customers. We see them on the Facebook group talking about how maybe a venue hasn't replied to them and given them the access they need. And yes, we're restricted in venues in terms of what can physically be done with the space in the room, but we give those fans a reply to an email, like they know they can email a dedicated email address that actually comes into my inbox. I'm able to then sense check has the venue kind of responded to them properly? If not, I can go back to the venue or via the promoters and ask them to deal with it. And we just give the fans a bit of love and kind of look after them. We've had cases in the past where we haven't been able to sort them out for the show they wanted to go to, but then we've maybe put them on the guest list for the next tour just as a kind of like making sure they know they're heard and looked after and that we appreciate what they do. So just those little touches can, I think, really make a difference.
It feels like there's a lot of really like new school tools being used, but a lot of really old school thinking, like just
Mm-hmm.
serving the basics of these are our fans, what are their needs, how do we
Yeah.
serve them?
Yeah. I mean, an agent said it to me years ago and it stuck with me. I think I can't remember what gig I was at. I was at a gig with an agent anyway, Jeff Meal, he's the agent for Mike Hem. And at the time, I think it was Alkaline Trio we were doing together or something. And I think I made a flippant comment at the end of the gig about being a bit knackered and I've got to get home now and all the rest of it. And he basically said, well, these fans are paying for the tickets to be here, and that's paying our mortgages. So we need to look after them. We need to look after the artists, and that's just always kind of rung true with me. And with Rocks, we see it every day. We're always having discussion. Even yesterday, we talk about merch prices for tour, and got our merch company saying we're too cheap with what we're charging for it. But we're also of the mind of, sure, if it's more fan friendly, you're going to sell more anyway, and the fans are going to go away not feeling like they've been ripped off. They're more likely to come back again. They're more likely to buy something else in the future as well and stuff. So it's just those little, like you say, those old school thinkings mixed with the technology that's out there now as well. So.
There's quite a long-term view on, I guess, what you're building,
Mm.
in the sense that if you're putting the time in now and you're taking the cheaper price and you're doing those things to kind of feed and cater to the fan base. I mean, I guess with Rory, we're still, working towards the second record, but the career itself has still been quite long. And subsequently, there's quite a lot of, I guess, positive evidence that taking the longer road is, I guess, for this artist in particular, the right way. But I also would kind of suggest that for the music industry as a whole, that's kind of a rejection of kind of short-term thinking in favor of long-term strategizing would probably yield a lot better results for most people.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're able to do that. I mean, we're in quite a privileged position because the tickets are selling, the records are selling. We're able to look at the P&L and see that things are recouping pretty quickly and kind of we're able to then reinvest money in things. But what's nice is because we're not on like a traditional record deal, because we've done a distribution deal and we have kind of full control over everything in that respect, we have a better royalty return by being on that type of deal as well. So we're able to look at things a little bit different. We're not kind of going, oh, okay, yeah, we need to charge more for merch because we're not seeing as much return on our royalties. We're able to go, yeah, as long as the merch is doing what we want it to do and it's making a healthy profit that we can then reinvest in music videos or content or the next stage of the tour production getting stepped up a level and things, then great, we can reinvest that. So again, it's mixing that old school thinking and new school thinking. Like the old school record deals would probably restrict us quite a bit from doing a lot of this, and we'd also have a label telling us how we should be spending the money or wanting to. Whereas with this one, we're able to do it a bit more on our terms, and it's a nice, really nice position to be in to have that control and that. I guess for Rox as well, it's that sense of ownership because she knows like she still owns all her masters. She is her own boss effectively. Like we're doing this her way and our way and kind of working together as a nice team. We've got like you there giving us the service we need as a distro. We've got Dexter as our kind of freelance label head. It's really a small team, really, when you think about it, in terms of comparison to what you see on other projects, and it almost feels more satisfying doing it that way as well.
It's almost like that kind of community you've built has become the luxury that enables
Mm-hmm.
the work to be done in that way. But at the same time, that community, building the community that way is still a choice. It's not like you kind of tripped up and found an amazing community of people online. Like
Yeah, but
it's
it
still
has
been built brick by brick.
from a management point of view, from like a free focus business point of view, that's almost been our cheat code. Like the clients we manage all have online followings generally as a rule when we sign them. Like we're signing great musicians or great content creators or authors or whatever because of what they have and what they can do with their skills and their creativity. But it is a cheat code for us if there's already an audience there online because we're not we're not trying to like balance. We can afford to do the support tour, for example, if it's offered, because there's other revenue streams coming in from that community being there, whether that's been able to do brand partnerships and use reinvest that money into the music side, or the fact that we just know that on merch we're going to be doing a really nice per head on tour versus what maybe a traditional pop punk or an indie band would be doing, who don't necessarily have that same level of fandom or that same community around them from the get-go. So yeah, that's our, as a management, that's our cheat code essentially. So.
And how much are you guys using the kind of these data points to inform your decisions? Whether in discussions with internally about what to do next, or kind of
Mhm.
with external partners about like, you know, we should go to these markets or we should release
Yeah,
this
I mean,
kind of product.
I come from well, as you know, I come from a promoter background myself, so I'm always looking at kind of city followings and data. But Rox actually takes it to a whole other level. Like she really digs in, and um she'll look at a song that might not be on, not deliberately a song that's not on a playlist. So none of the data that's coming from it is from it being pushed to them by Spotify per se. So we know it's the hardcore fans coming and listening to an album track, for example. And then she'll look at what are the listeners in London, Birmingham, like our key UK markets where we've toured a couple of times before, and what did that mean in terms of ticket sales? And she'll look at the pattern then of, is there a kind of average percentage of conversion? So if you've got X number of listeners in London, what tickets did that do last time? And then she takes that percentage, and what we've been doing with our US agents, because we're not toured the US yet, we're looking at what's worth doing. And we did it when we were picking the German markets for the tour we've got coming up. We went, okay, these are the top cities in Germany. This is how many listeners there are. We believe we can do, and it was like such a precise number. It was like 597 tickets in Cologne, because that's what the conversion kind of matches up with what we've done in the UK in terms of percentage wise. And sure enough, we've got a sold out show in Cologne at 500 people now. So the data can really be amazing in that respect. And now we're in the process of working out that same analysis for the US to give our US agents. So one, they can look at, is it worth us going over doing a headline tour, but also they can go to promoters of festivals in different markets and say, hey, here's some stats that show it's not just a case of, oh, we're not just telling you we've got 2,000 listeners in Indiana. We're telling you that we've got 2,000 listeners in Indiana, and we had 2,000 listeners in this market where we've already toured, and that converted to 800 ticket sales or whatever. Like, we've got these nice stats and data that we can kind of pull from and drive from. And I guess we've then also, on top of Rory's music data, we've got the ADHD love data, which we know isn't, not everyone on ADHD love is there because of Rory and the music, but again, it's like another little driver of, we know people will recognize her in that market because they'll have seen the videos from the ADHD love side of things as well. So
Feels like the real cheat code is working with a really smart artist.
yeah, yeah, I say she keeps me on my toes. She keeps you on your toes as well. She's always always spotting
We all live on our toes.
things.
Well, look, thank you, Mark. It's been a good chat. Finding out a bit more about Rory's community and how that has been amplified and grown and catered to in order to create what's a really interesting and hopefully future successful career. So, yeah, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much.